Online harassment is a growing problem worldwide and a very serious one in Singapore. In a Microsoft survey last year, Singapore ranked second highest in the world after China for online bullying of youths. Recently, the government feedback unit REACH polled 1,000 Singaporeans about harassment, and over 80% say that they consider online harassment a serious issue. 87% agree that people who harass others should be dealt very firmly with under the law. Now, 85% support tougher measures to deal with harassment as well. As for online harassment, 83% say they want tougher measures to deal with this. 82% say they should have the legal right to require that online factual inaccuracies about them be corrected. And 85% think that victims of online harassment should be able to seek assistance just as any other victim of harassment should. So Law Minister K. Shanmugam says the possibility of tougher laws is not being ruled out to deal with all forms of harassment, online harassment in particular. He says a review of legal provisions could happen early next year. Mr. Shanmugam was speaking at a conference on harassment organized by the Institute of Policy Studies, and topics discussed extended to how students are bullied and harassed in schools.
One of the things we need to get a sense of is, has this really proliferated? And if so, what would be the best way of addressing it? And that, you can't sort of, for schools and for children, you wouldn't be applying heavy criminal penalties generally. It is a question of education, teaching them respect for each other.
Children are psychologically, physically less able to deal with these issues than grown-up adults. And if so many children are impacted, I think later on it will have a deep impact on society as they become adults.
Dr. Carol Balhetchet from the Singapore Children's Society is here to discuss the issue with us. So Carol, thank you very much for coming in today. A lot of different forms of cyberbullying in Singapore. Which would you say are the most common?
I think what people don't realize is that gaming is one of the most common, because a lot of youth are involved in gaming. I think there are quite a lot. If you talk to students, they are in some way or other involved in some form of gaming. And with gaming, I feel that youth are a little bit more territorial because it's their game. So if you're a new player, you go on the game, then they pick on you because you can't, work with them, or you don't do as well with them, then they isolate you. Or they're picky about, you're not doing so well. That's one. Harassment is the other. Clearly, harassment and malicious distortion of pictures that you put online.
And also saying bad things about people that people really shouldn't be doing. Cyber harassment can be a bit more traumatic than other kinds because it's always there, it's always constant, and it's always in the back of your mind. And people are online all the time. Mm-hmm. So would you say that it's a growing problem?
Oh my gosh, it is the most important, I find it most insidious in its form, because once you go online and you're a victim online, it stays there for a long time, 3 years or more. And you've grown out, you've got over the situation, but you go back on the net and your information's still there, one. Two, within seconds, the information or the malicious words or pictures that they put out can go rapidly and massively. And I think that in itself, you've gathered momentum to the netizens on the web. And on top of that, sometimes innocent bystanders using simple, unwittingly, just making comments, innocent comments like, wow, you've already been recruited on the perpetrators campaign.
Okay, so it's very easy to fall into that web.
Absolutely.
Could you give us an example, perhaps, of a cyberbullying case that you've come across and how you resolved it?
Okay, some time back we had, I won't give you details of the person, but this person, she was bullied for quite a while, quite a few years, and she did not tell anyone, or it's a she already, she did not tell her parents or her school or anyone. She isolated herself, and eventually she lost confidence. She started becoming a loner. She stopped going to school. She stopped socializing.
So she became a recluse.
She lost very much. She lost confidence in herself, and the only way for her to try and deal with the problem was she became more lonely, you know, and depressed, and her depression started affecting her emotionally, mentally. She couldn't function until eventually she came to us.
Right.
I won't tell you the route she came to us, the route that she eventually came to us, but eventually she came to us, and we helped her to try and gain support through her family, through her social network, so that she's not alone anymore. And she also had the support of her family, and she stopped feeling that she is to blame for
just giving her the support she needed. Absolutely. And the confidence she needed. So Minister Shanmugam mentioned that, you know, they may come up with new legislation or amend legislation, yes, to deal with the problem. Yes. And more people also in that survey showed that they want the law on their side. So what's your response to that?
I think fantastic, because I think it's about time. We've been quietly dealing with physical bullying and eventually cyberbullying, because all our children and youth spend their new playground is the net, right? So this is where it's all happening, and unless we put some appropriate social behaviors, how they're supposed to interact with each other, until we structure it, unfortunately, these children will use their, you know, they will carry on their risk behavior and push their boundaries.
All right, thank you very much, Carol, for coming in. It was great speaking to you.
Thank you.
And that was Dr. Carol Balhetchet from the Singapore Children's Society on bullying or cyber harassment in Singapore. On that note, let's go for a short break.